Our first idea for helping out our food supply was to try and slow down global warming or stabilize climate change a bit by, again, reducing output of greenhouse gases and emissions from automobiles and other transportation, and exercising new urbanism, planting more trees and stuff, because it does actually keep buildings cooler. We also thought to discourage population growth through education programs and incentive programs like are already being used in China and other heavily populated areas of the world. And also, rations might also temporarily be an acceptable solution to prevent food shortages. Another thing that we thought of was to relocate important food crops to the new climate zones that would be more similar to the ones that they are already existing in, such as wheat, rice, and corn, as well as livestock, because the arid grasslands that livestock currently inhabit are going to migrate drastically. We also thought to attempt to reestablish natural capital of existing ecosystems in similar climate zones that will probably be more farther north or south, depending on what hemisphere you're in, because we do need the waste disposal and oxygen generating capacities of those natural ecosystems. And while they are reorganizing themselves, climate change normally happens over thousands of years, and they probably will not relocate themselves quickly enough to support the amount of humans on the planet. We also thought to utilize highly carbonated greenhouses and underground growing facilities with artificial light to meet the food needs of the population, and also to give tax breaks or other incentives such as free services to families or co-ops that grow fruits and vegetables for themselves, and possibly give them the option of using any extra fruits or vegetables or other products that they grow to trade for services like cooling or heating or car transportation and other things.
Very good.
Also, another pretty viable option is, instead of building up, build down. You can build cave cities and in the Earth's crust, and it's actually you have a lot of room to work with. You know, with the technology today, with hydroponics, that kind of stuff, you can sustain yourself, vegetables, that kind of thing, in food. And I'm not really sure how we do livestock, but I'm sure we'll figure out a way to do that. And like Leticia said, there's huge stores of water under the ground all over the planet that we could use as well. So that's another option.
Yeah? Any other ideas? No? It was good, no? All right, all right.
What we had was, because if there's increased heat, then all of Florida has to change and will change. So we had that there would be more restrictions on water use and water consumption. If it's hotter and there is increased water levels, then because of that, because ice melts, then we'd have to have possibly a long-term evacuation plan to Georgia if things get worse. Stricter laws for the misuse of water. So instead of a fine, you get arrested, because by then it's going to be very precious commodity. We'll just have open water. Possibly underground water containers to house that water. Also, an underground zoo to house animals that really can't sustain themselves during or with the new climate, and the same kind of thing also for similar plants. And then we could have access. Like I know before that one of the groups was talking about they don't know how they're going to handle having cattle and livestock, and that's how we would do it, like housing everything underground. Also, new building codes to account for the heat increase, and since it's hotter anyway, we might as well have everything be solar powered because the sun's going to be baking us, so might as well. Also, possibly seawalls and more canals to divert some of the water for a while. So if it isn't so bad by 2100, it may not get much worse for some years afterward if there are more canals going from the coast. Rainwater collection drains, because for a little while, because the sun is hotter, there will be possibly more evaporation. So it might rain more for a little while and then be completely dry. So during that time, we could collect that rain that falls instead of just having it go to waste. And then more efficient building materials when building buildings and stuff. Maybe different kinds of roofs. And
Very good, very good.
When you look back in history, we're studying dinosaur bones, there's deserts that used to be underwater and vice versa. So looking at the chart of, say, for example, the Nile River, right now it's a pretty fertile seabed, but when in the situation, say, of 2100, where the population starts getting enormous, some of these areas will start being even more conducive to producing food. So just moving from the lands that are becoming more and more non-fertile to more fertile. We thought too about GMOs, genetically modified organisms, just working more on that to really
to put greater nutritional value, something like that.
Greater nutritional value, yeah, more.
Maybe that's a possibility.
So you crossbreed your plants to do more for you, basically.
Force them to adjust.
Yeah.
Maybe switch over to more crops that are more conducive to a hotter climate instead of current crops we have now fail.
Right. Right. Go to a place of the earth where it's already hot and take those strands and bring them over here, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. Good. What else?
Also, we have the developing countries will help the underdeveloped countries with the technology, stuff like that. Because we have charts in the little packet that said developing countries will be able to better adapt with different fertilizers, things like that. Underdeveloped countries will suffer more, so we just have to everyone team up and help each other out with that.
Got it. Excellent. Yes.
Pretty much the population of the Earth is doubling just about every 50 years. In order to sustain these people, the food supply is going to have to double with that. So that presents not only maintaining our present food supply, but to be able to increase it to sustain these new people.
Right. Excellent. Very good. Yeah, it's a big challenge. And you?
I think that's about it.
That's it? All right, guys. Thank you very much. Beautiful. Nice.
All right. We had ways to prevent and treat diseases, but in order to do that, we have to know where they come from. They can come from crops, cargo exports and imports, dense populations, increased tropical climates, and also just hygiene, like hand soaps would be, like landfills or just sort of breeding grounds for disease and all that stuff. So the ways to help prevent them would be, of course, education of diseases and risk, diversifying where crops come from, meaning you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, like grow oranges in Brazil and nowhere else, because if that goes down, then no more oranges. Also, collaborative governments to slow the consumption of natural resources, maybe work on a global level together. Increase research in vaccines and access to vaccines, it's a huge one. And also stricter FDA requirements to, meaning scanning for diseases before they're actually consumed.
Excellent. Very good. Yeah.
That's about it.
Our topic was finance, and how exactly are you going to pay for everything?
Yeah. To be able to pay for everything, we need a completely different economic system, because there's going to be trillions and trillions of dollars, and there's no one product or anything that you can sell over a long period of time to be able to raise enough money to pay for the things that are going to be paid for, new infrastructure, new cooling methods, everything like that. There's going to be nothing you can cut enough to save enough money. It's going to need a combination of those two things and a new economic system in which the book talked about a lot in the first chapter of where you sell services rather than products. Your durables, you buy, if you have a refrigerator, you pay for the cooling. Like you don't buy the refrigerator. You get the refrigerator, it has a counter on it, it counts how much cooling you use, everything like that. And then at the end of the year, you pay the company that owns the refrigerator, and then if it ever needs fixed or anything, it's based on the company that manufactured it. You don't have to pay to fix it, replace it, anything like that. It gives incentives for the companies to make recyclable goods, more durable goods, and at the end of their lifetime, they can be used again to build a new one. We talked about, kind of like sports actually, revenue profit sharing, where countries that are making more money, it's kind of a socialist issue more than anything, where it kind of puts everyone on the same level as the amount of money they're taking in and they have to spend, and everyone needs the same things, so it puts everyone on a level field as far as what they have to spend and what they need to buy. quick. You know?
All right. Very good. Very interesting. You're basically saying that everything you leave everything you show up.
The roof of a skyscraper, instead of being like a blacktop, would be grass. That's supposed to help insulate and reduce like the heat coming in and keep the heat or cold in.
Like this building too.
Yeah. So with the grass, that would obviously reduce the heat and insulate the cold. And also with the rainfall, you collect the rain, possibly like a storage area underneath the building or underground, and that would reduce the amount of water that the building needs to use, and then have like a treatment center underneath. And obviously we're thinking about probably really expensive, but maybe making the building partially subterranean so it'll be less exposed to heat and the sun, and obviously underground will probably be cooler. And this way, instead of trying to force the air, cold air up, we just have to fall, so we're using less energy that way.
We're also thinking about like somehow creating building materials that are like the space shuttle, like where they reflect heat, like those tiles, somehow lining, not exactly like those, but similar to it, like on the outside, so it reflects the heat. And then just basically other supplies that are outside reflecting the heat, and